You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the #1 resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms.
Youngpreneurs, welcome to another episode of the Youngpreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Ahipenny, and as always, thank you for joining us. You could be anywhere in the world, and you chose to be here listening to this, and we're going to bring you a ton of value because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Today, you're spending it, as always, with me, but today with our amazing guest, John Cavendish, who is the founder of FBA Frontiers, and we're going to delve into what FBA is, which is fulfillment by Amazon, and I'm sure that will have a few of you scratching your heads, but I think it will wow you with the possibilities that are out there and the opportunities that it can open. But without further ado, welcome to the show, John.
Oh, thanks for having me, Victor. It's great to be here.
I personally haven't delved into any kind of the drop shipping or fulfillment by Amazon or anything like that. But before we kind of get into that, how was this your first venture? If we wind it back to growing up in your school days, was it entrepreneurship always on the cards for you, or was it something that you stumbled across later in life? What were the influences there?
Well, I think when I was younger, I didn't really, like most people, know what I wanted to do. So I did the whole normal, what I would call the normal route. I went to university. I took the closest subject to the stuff I was good at and ended up in a job doing that. So I was an engineer. So I did engineering, studied engineering in the UK. And then I spent 4 years of being a graduate and then doing sort of the young professional thing before I stumbled upon FBA as like an amazing way out and way of making my own money on the side.
And with all of that, were there skill sets? Like, did you hate being an engineer? Did you dislike being an engineer, or were you looking for something else at the time?
At the time, I was looking for something else in terms of something more, giving more freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can do the 9 to 5, but it's the whole, 9 to 5 job, holiday, not being able to travel. So at the time, it was just like, I suppose the pain got too great, and I went from engineering to contracting.
Yep.
So like working as a freelancer in London for a couple of years. So I did the graduate training scheme for 2 years, quit that, started contracting, and then used the money that I made from that to start on the whole sort of FBA venture.
And it's what's cool, and I think we can delve into this later. But one of my past guests and a good friend of mine, he used to talk about what he found when he went from working in a job ironically as an engineer as well, to running his own company. And he said he used to look forward to holidays because it meant he wasn't working, more so than he liked obviously going different places, but it was more the not being at work and then the depression of it's the end of the holiday and those sorts of things, to the changing of mindset to, I want to do this whenever I want, around obviously busy times and things like that, but not tied into, waiting for Christmas holidays and having 2 obligatory weeks off or things like that, which was an interesting mindset.
Yeah, completely. And I think, when you work for yourself, like you don't necessarily look forward to the holidays, or you want to work and you want to grow the business and it's enjoyable, which is the complete opposite of what most people think, I think, about their sort of 9 to 5 normal job.
Yeah, they're just ticking off the minimal boxes that they can and on a week-to-week basis. But anyway, well, enough with bagging the 9 to 5. Tell us a bit about what FBA is and kind of your journey and your path into it and how it's kind of progressed since then.
Great. So FBA, as you said, stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And all that basically means is that you're using Amazon's network to fulfill your products. So you're basically finding a market opportunity through Amazon, whether it's personally what we promote is Amazon Europe at the moment. But say Amazon Europe, Amazon.com, you're looking on there for a product using a set of criteria. You find an opportunity and then you source the product from China from a factory. you apply your own brand to it, and then you sell it on Amazon basically under your own brand.
Yeah, wicked. And then that's all obviously drop shipped and obviously fulfilled by them and delivered by them. So what else do you have? Like, what are your core responsibilities once you've got that product set up? Or actually, let's take it back a step. The market research. So I know a little bit about this area, but not a ton. But for the listeners out there, from the market research, a lot of people are going, oh yeah, I'm into golf, I'll do something in golf. But it doesn't necessarily have to be anything that you've got a knowledge or a passion about, does it, for the product?
No, not at all, because you can be completely data driven. It helps if it's a simple product, because the more complicated it is, the more difficult it is to find a good factory.
Yeah.
But the only real difference between this and drop shipping is that it's actually your product. So you're actually buying the inventory from the factory. You're shipping it from China to whichever country you're holding it in, whether it's the USA or the UK or somewhere in Europe. And then Amazon just does all the shipping and fulfillment and the warehousing for you. So literally all you do is find the products, ship it there. You take care of the customer service of any emails that come in, but any actual returns go through the Amazon system. So all you're doing is marketing the product, doing customer service and finding new products, basically.
Yeah. And so run us through what it looked like for you. What was your first product and how did it go?
No one in FBA will tell you their first product. But I started out in the UK, which is quite different from most people. So I found my opportunity in the UK. I started sourcing in December 2014, and I had a live product by the very end of January 2015. And then very rapidly, I started making a few sales. I was doing 5 sales a day, 8 sales a day of this product. It was about £20, and the margin on it at the time was about £8, so about 40%, which was good. I was making some money, although it wasn't life-changing money. So later that year, I rolled out some more products from the same manufacturer. So I had sort of 5 by the end of the year, and it was making maybe 30, 40 sales a day, and I decided to end my current contract and go traveling.
Yeah.
And I got involved with sort of the online crowd and moved to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam as a base. And this is a really good online community here, and it's a great place to meet people, network, and grow your business. And then that's when it really took off, when I decided to take on more staff, and I took on one assistant, and with her help, we sort of rolled it out to all of Europe, to all the markets, and then it just doubled every single month at the start of 2016. So I think December 2015 was our first 20K, $20,000 sales month. And then January was 40, and then 60, and then 80, then 100, then 120, every month up through 2016. And until we were doing 100,000+ a month in revenue.
Run me through what's going through your head when that's happening. Going from, I don't know, but I have no idea what an engineer, let's say £50,000, is it? Like a engineer's salary?
To, very generous engineer's salary in the UK.
Yeah, I'm not, my conversion to Australian dollars probably isn't too.
All the engineers are really well paid.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the mining stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's say, whatever, for £30,000 to turning over that in revenue. I realize it's not profit at the end of the day, but in a month, was your head spinning at that stage, or were you just I kind of expected this based on what we were doing? And how did you have any self-limiting beliefs or things that kind of stopped the progress as fast as it could?
I definitely had some limiting beliefs. I mean, it doesn't really feel real because it's kind of like a game. I see Amazon as a game. The idea is to do your marketing and your numbers hopefully go up. But I mean, there's so many limiting beliefs, and to start with, the main limiting belief is that it's going to go away or that it's not going to continue. So that led me originally, when I didn't have much cash when I was starting out. I started out with £5,000 worth of inventory and some money in savings, but I had a goal that I wanted to save up a certain amount in savings. So it led me to just, as it expanded, just bank the money rather than reinvest it back in.
Yeah.
And if I'd reinvested a lot more back in, I'd have way more money now.
Yeah.
So it's maybe that's just a thing at the time. It's your mindset. If you've only got 10 grand in the bank, then you want to save a couple of $100,000, and then you're like, oh, I wish I'd put it back into the company because now I'd have $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yes, I mean that I think that's the thing though, because for all of us, when no one really jumps into business, particularly as a younger entrepreneur, unless they've walked into some money somewhere along the line with a decent bankroll, and then it's like the lack of security, and you're like, I want to get that kind of that basic human need of security back under control and have money in the bank account so I can pay the bills and do those certain things. So interesting, because I mean that kind of exponential growth is ballpark to back in the day where it's a brick and mortar business. There weren't businesses that were going from $20,000 a month and doubling month on month, because there's just too many growing pains and when you've got a brick and mortar. But run me through what some of the growing pains were in that 12 months, because I imagine customer service must have been one of them.
Customer service is a bit of an issue, but with Amazon it's not so bad really. Like when we hit $100,000 a month, we were getting maybe 5 to 10 customer inquiries a day.
Yep.
Because Amazon takes care so much of the delivery customer inquiries. Yep. The main issue when you're growing that fast is cash flow. Just like anything else, like making sure you keep in stock, because you were ordering enough for 3 or 4 months and then suddenly you run out 6 weeks later. So just trying to keep in stock. Yeah, I mean, it was the growing pains, because we were using Amazon, just weren't as great as I would have imagined. It's just keeping in stock.
Yeah. And with the products that you were selling, are they relatively evergreen products, or were they kind of topical ones that were hot for the moment, like an iPhone case type product versus something that a garden spade that people are going to keep wanting to get?
I mean, for Europe, I always recommend evergreen products because in the US, as you imagine, like every man and his dog is selling stuff.
Yeah.
So you can be in Australia, you can be anywhere in the world and sell in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same for Europe, but Europe has a few more hurdles to get involved. Like you actually need to, register for sales tax.
Okay.
So when you enter Europe, you can start actually with more evergreen products because it's just not as competitive as it is in the States, and you can get your foothold in the evergreen products. So that's kind of what my business has been all about, is getting a foothold in like some of the really big spaces in Europe, so that as it gets more competitive, you're still the person who's got the best feedback and the longest running product.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Those hurdles to stop people, and I guess a lot of the people who are teaching it are based out of the States, so they're teaching how to do it in the States, and people are learning, and really interesting. Have you looked into Australia as a option, or are you staying narrow? Because I think Amazon's just like expanded from books into kind of everything in Australia over the last couple of months.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in Australia. I mean, Australia is even more of a case where you want to go for the most mainstream product because the population is so much smaller.
Yeah.
The issue with Australia at the moment is that Amazon's FBA offering isn't live yet to marketplace sellers.
Yeah, okay.
So you can't go in yet and use their warehousing to fulfill your products. But I mean, you could do it through a third party.
Yeah.
But it's when their warehousing goes live that Australia is really going to explode with sellers, because at the moment, shipping something for the same price from Melbourne to the middle of Queensland, it's just it doesn't work with 3PLs that I've found yet. Because my team's done the research, we had a look at it, and it just didn't seem like the right opportunity for us yet.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the other thing is at the moment, Australians in general just don't know what Amazon is, and I mean that in the way that because it hasn't had products outside of books, people know eBay and they've heard of Amazon, but it's not like a cultural icon like it is, say, in the States, in Europe, and I mean, I don't know other countries, but it's not a thing that people are, I'll jump on Amazon and check and have a look for that. But I know obviously with their power and their branding, and a lot of the big department stores over here are shitting their boots because they've been complacent like taxi companies have, and now they're trying to say, oh, you can click and pick it up. And everyone's like, walk in and buy it and pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's going to be crazy in a year or so. Amazon's going to be dominating in Australia.
Yeah,
it can be insane.
Cool. So for people, like, I love to keep this as practical as possible, and I think you've definitely given people an awesome insight into it. What for people looking to get started? What are some of the key mistakes that people make, more so than the first few steps that they should probably do?
Okay, so if you were starting, say, as an Australian or as like a non-European, you need to have a company. So it could be an Aussie company, it could be a UK company, which you can easily start as a foreign person. It all depends, where you're based. So it could be a USA company, a Hong Kong company, an Australian company, and you just need to register for sales tax in like one of the countries in Europe. So Amazon in Europe, although it's like many, many different countries, it kind of acts as like a central hub, and your one account lets you sell in every single marketplace. So you just need to create an account, and then you can use the inventory that you're holding in the warehouse in the UK, and it can ship to like 26 different countries in Europe. So all you actually need to do is, create one account, get sales tax registered in one country, hold your inventory there, and then create listings using a translator, which is a service we offer as well, just, in Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. And then you can access like 26 different countries worth of customers. So that's kind of like the way to get in. But in terms of finding a product, I mean, what do you want to know? There's a lot of information we could go through.
So I guess, where would you start your market research before? I mean, I don't think we're going to jump into finding the Asian factory to get it made, because I think we'll get a bit of overload. If people want to find out more, they can go and check out your stuff. But to give people a bit of an idea on maybe key metrics or things that you look at, or trends, or whatever you're looking at when you're analyzing different markets or products that you might want to get into, what are some of the things that you do there?
Sure. So when you're analyzing Amazon products, on the Amazon's actual like product page, when you go onto it, you can scroll down, you can see the item's bestseller ranking, which is like basically for every major category. So there's like about 10 major categories. Amazon ranks all the products they sell from 1 to 10 million. And by that number, you can kind of have a sort of good guess of how many it's selling per day. There's like a few different plugins and stuff you can use on your computer, like Jungle Scout. But really, as sort of a key metric is like if the top 3 sellers for the keyword you're searching for have a bestseller rank of less than 2,000, so they're in the top 2,000 products, of that category on Amazon. Then you've got a good product that you can sell. So then you're looking at other metrics. So is it small? Is it light? Could you source it easily? And the customer reviews. So Amazon's been a lot more stringent on customer reviews recently, which is a good thing for people getting in. If it's a non-competitive category, because it means that people can't get all these dodgy. People used to get lots of dodgy reviews by giving away products for free and spamming them and buying reviews, and that stuff you can't do anymore, which is great. So now you can, if you find something that's got maybe less than 50 reviews for the top 3, then it's quite easy to compete. You can get it in. You can like use advertising just to push your product to the top, and then you can start making sales. And as you get reviews, you'll organically go up the sales rank. So if somebody's searching for, say, garden spade, and you've got 10 reviews and yours is like a 5-star product, then it might, it should hopefully stick up near the top, and then you won't need to spend so much on advertising anymore. And then you've got a profitable product. Nice. Possibly not garden spades because they're super heavy.
Well, I've actually got some really light garden spades that I'm in discussion with China with. No.
Awesome.
And so going into, so I think that gives people a good understanding, I guess, about the potential. Like when you've got millions of products and category, like lots of different categories on Amazon, there's definitely the nuggets that you find that you're going to be able to find in there to then go on and take it to the next step. In regards to as you've grown over the last couple of years, what does your team look like now, and what does your day in particular, what does that look like if there's such a thing as a kind of a normal day for you?
Yeah, I'd say so, because I really like structure, and I feel like when you work for yourself, if you don't have a good routine, then you'll rapidly deteriorate into going out or doing nothing or traveling all the time. So so now I have my first person I took on was a customer service girl, and then I took on like an operations manager who used to be my bookkeeper. So it was first a customer service girl and a bookkeeper. Then my bookkeeper became my operations manager as well as being bookkeeper. And then I got a sort of a project manager recently because I'm sort of trying to systemize everything, which is sort of a bit of my engineering background, and also roll out a lot of products. I hired a Taiwanese girl who speaks Chinese. So for talking to factories, it's great. There's still bits get lost in translation somehow, but there's less stuff gets lost in translation. And that's great. And then I have another sort of assistant who does small things, but everyone is sort of locationally diversified. So I've got a couple of Filipino staff, a Taiwanese staff member, and then one of my Filipino guys has actually come across to Vietnam at the moment, and he's living here because it's a great place to be. Yeah. And so I suppose on an average day, I get up, I tend to go for a walk around my condo. I live in an amazing condo now here with a pool and the gym. I go to the gym, and then I sort of either work from home or a coffee shop or a co-working space. Then I meet friends for dinner, and then go out in the evening or go cinema, watch a movie, something like that.
Nice. Sounds like it's also I got to make it to. I went to Hoi An earlier this year, and we got late last year. Sorry, we got caught in that biggest typhoon they'd had in 20 years or something, and the whole city was underwater by about 12 hours.
Wow.
Of being there, it was, but still an awesome place, and we love Vietnam, so definitely want to see a bit more of that. In regards to your to kind of wrap up and get a bit more of an understanding of you, what would you say your best habit is in regards to business and maybe life, and what's your habit that you're working on the hardest? I won't say your worst, but the habit that you feel may curtail you at certain times.
I'd say my best habit has been sort of building momentum and then outsourcing and systemizing everything to people who are passionate and actually are good at their job. Yep. Hiring people has been so useful, and you don't have to, if you live in Australia, you don't have to hire an Australian who are, you have to get all of the benefits for and pay a fortune. You can hire some really, really good people in the Philippines or wherever, Taiwan or wherever else in the world you want to hire somebody. And definitely what I need to work on sometimes is just I suppose your motivation as things go well. You're the more you outsource, the more free time you have, the more you need to budget your own time, because you're not just keeping yourself busy, you're actually working on useful things for your business. Yep. And it's very easy just to get caught up in doing stuff that keeps you busy, which is not a task you need to do, which you can just pay someone else to do once you're making decent money.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. I'm listening to Brendan Burchard's latest book. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a fairly switched on businessman, and it's High Performers Habits, I think the book's called. But it kind of touches on a lot of that, and it's really, really interesting. A lot of data focused information rather than hypotheses. He's interviewed hundreds of thousands of people and done research papers and things on high achievers and the habits. So interesting you said that, because prior to this interview I was going for a walk and literally was listening to your story playing out through an audiobook. On that point, in regards to books or articles or things, what's the one that's had the biggest impact on you over the last 12 months, if you're an avid reader, and over your whole kind of entrepreneurial life?
I do read a lot. I read quite a few books, and I listen to audiobooks. I'm going to plug my friend's book because his is sort of a good summary of my sort of investing ethos, which it's by a guy called David Schneider, and it's called The 80-20 Investor. Mm-hmm. And he kind of very well summarizes it's sort of a mixture between Buffett strategies and sort of putting all of your energy into certain activities to get the best results from your investments. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to make money in windfalls rather than necessarily steadily each month. So, you've got more time maybe to read around and see what you could really get a good return on. So you don't need to be putting a set amount of money each month into the standard world diversified index funds, because everyone knows now that you should just be, doing index funds, diversifying worldwide, owning inflation, owning some metals. But if you go after companies which you evaluate personally and you know it's a good investment, then you can make far better returns doing that. And it is low risk, even if you're going just after maybe 5 or 10 companies, which is kind of like Warren Buffett's ethos.
Yeah. No, I like that. We'll link all of that at passiveincomeyoung.com. We'll link everything else that we've talked about. But finally, where do you see yourself and what will you be doing in 2 years' time?
I think in 2 years' time, I'll be doing very similar things. Spending more time investing and more time with my business fully systemized. And we'll be at another level in terms of revenue and growth. And with FBA Frontiers, hopefully a lot of our students are multimillionaires and doing very well in Europe. But I mean, I've got a few Amazon different ventures now, and I'll sell one of them and make $1 million. I'll let you know when I'm a millionaire, but not yet.
That's a lot of spring rolls over in Vietnam.
Many than me.
Yeah. So we will. Finally, man, it's been absolutely awesome. This is the first time I've had anyone who's been in this space and almost 200 episodes. And it's been really interesting for me personally, so I know the listeners will absolutely love it. And I just want to thank you and welcome you to the Youngpreneurs family. If people want to find out more about you and about FBA Frontiers and anything that you're up to, where should they go and what should they do?
They can go to fbafrontiers.com. We have like a small free course if you sign up to our mailing list, and that also gives you a link to our Facebook group where people can ask questions. And then, there's a link to reach out to me on our site as well.
Cool. Well, I'll link all of that, passiveincomeyoung.com. And again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And look forward to following that journey over the next couple of years and maybe jumping in the app fulfillment by Amazon myself.
Yeah, everyone does. No worries. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com/podcast training.